only did we remaster some of the episodes, we actually changed the editing of some of the scenes, where Sentinels, as you might have heard, was a salvage job where the project was canceled partway into the animation work being done. And in some cases, there were gaps of footage in which they were unable to find the necessary footage in a timely manner. And so in the early release, there were actually segments from the Macross Saga inserted when even the shuttle that was launching did not look anything like, from the Macross scene, look anything like the Sentinel scene. So you had discontinuity there. And so here, we actually found launch sequences for the same model sequence from the original Japanese footage for the Southern Cross. During that remastering process, we actually spliced that in. And we also created a couple new segments which didn't exist before, where they had used a fireworks scene from the SDF-1, even though everyone knows it's supposed to be the SDF-3, because they didn't have a completed segment for that. And we finally now have fireworks sequences for the SDF-3 in the footage that you see. So that's one of the ways in which we kind of polished up the Sentinels, over its original release, and we actually added even an epilogue to it, which is a little bit of a surprise. You'll see that. And this is the information for this you can find on robotech.com/new-DVD, and this is being marketed as Robotech, the complete series. Now, also, we've been working hard on. How many of you speak Spanish? All right, this is California. Depending on how close we are to the border, we get different ranges of responses. But we've been working really hard on Spanish releases for Latin America. And one of the responses we got back heavily was after the remastered Robotech came out. A lot of people definitely preferred the original Latin American voice actors, and this was expressed to me when I visited Santiago, Chile. So one of the things we've been doing over the course of the past year is re-releasing the original Robotech series with the original voice actors. And for the first time ever, we had a new release of Robotech: The Shadow Chronicles with the original voice actors. And here's a little segment sample right here. Extremely well voiced. The gentleman who voiced Scott is Jesus Ferrero. He's huge in Latin America. He's actually a voice of Luke Skywalker. So that's how big the guy is. And the woman is Patricia Acevedo. She's also a huge voice actress in Latin America. And so we were very fortunate to get them back to work on Robotech. And also the original series from Mexico, they're releasing the complete sets. So this is the Mexican edition. This is coming out starting April 2012. One thing they did authorize me to announce, this publisher, Empataya, they are gonna, for starting with Robotech: The Shadow Chronicles, they are going to be the first in Latin America to release Blu-ray editions. So that is coming out very, very soon. They'll have more information about that online. You can visit our Facebook page for more information, facebook.com/Robotech. And people have been asking us about Robotech Comics. What's the status of that? This was the Prelude to Shadow Chronicles trade paperback that came out in the US. This was the Robotech Love and War Stories that I had covered last year at last year's AOD. This is was actually supposed to include all the Macross Saga stories outside of From the Stars. However, the US release was canceled. However, one thing that happened since then is that it was released in China. It was a big release in China, very popular. They had all the Robotech trade paperbacks released in succession. But that covers print. What about Robotech in publishing in the future? And one of the things we are doing with Robotech, we kind of covered this in the impromptu Q&A earlier, is that we're moving publishing from traditional print, because one of the things you keep hearing over and over again with the onset of new media on tablet computers such as the iPad, the distribution of print is it's accelerating decline. And one segment in the industry, especially comic books, where they're seeing growth in sales is actually electronic publishing. So We've already moved the entire Robotech saga, which was covered by the Del Rey books, the Jack McKinney books. They're now available in ebook form, so whether you got a Kindle or an iPad, you can download it now. And we've been continuing to move forward also with role-playing games. We had the entire Robotech saga, except the new generation, that had been delayed for a little bit, but it's finally out, though very big. So for those of you who were browsing about the small manga size, from the feedback that they've gotten from all the RPG players and collectors, they've gone back to full-size RPGs for Robotech the New Generation. And the next volume after this is going to focus even more on the NVID and the Robotech Expeditionary Force. It's going to be called, I believe the working title that they have for it is the Genesis Pits. And they're not going to include just the TV series interpretation of the NVID and Expeditionary Force. They're also going to include the expanded universe material, such as Robotech the Sentinels. And so the Sentinels material for, such as the NVID, the inorganics under the Regent's control. So those elements of the NVID will be covered in the next RPG release. Yes, sir?
Well, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
With other times, you know, the Lancer story coming up.
Yeah.
And all that, are they going to go into showing how he died, or what's the time period?
Oh, Lancer?
Yes.
You're talking about End of the Circle.
Yes.
All right. In terms of the End of the Circle storyline, I know there's some folks who were End of the Circle fans, and I think Jack McKinney did as best one could when Carl was no longer working on Robotech at the time. He had moved on to Streamline Pictures. However, having had Carl come back into the Robotech loop, one of the things that was discussed was that the Robotech Odyssey that was supposed to follow the original Robotech series was supposed to be an ongoing series. He did not want it to be covered in just one short story, such as End of the Circle. And so in that manner, he felt that the story was he thought it was too compressed, and also it was based on the loose notes he had left behind after he had left working on Robotech. But the thing is, in some instances, he didn't think it was interpreted as he had intended. And so, as far as Robotech continuity goes, End of the Circle is now considered, no, I wouldn't say it's out of it. It's still an official product. It's kind of like our Splinters of the Mind's Eye, if you're a Star Wars fan. Meaning, it was published, it's there, but, you know, expect that subsequent Robotech releases are probably not going to be following that continuity.
Will it be the same two writers coming back as Jack McKinney?
No, that's impossible. Because Mr. Daly has already passed away, and James Lucena, though he is a favorite writer for the Del Rey universe, he's primarily up to his eyeballs in Star Wars work. But we're definitely, this is something we're definitely keeping in mind over at the Del Rey books. We do want to see more Robotech stories come out about them. This is also what just came out, the Robotech calendar. Some of you are already enjoying it. And let's see, this is one of the new images that we have inside. And Robotech toys. One of the big questions we've always traditionally gotten was, what about enemy Becca? The new light artillery version, which had been delayed forever, which we were talking about, which before was in the coming soon column, is now presently available. And also we even used to have the movie versions, but unfortunately they just recently sold out at Robotech.com. So this is just to let you know that they do exist. We have been until recently doing the movie versions. And this is the next version that is on Toy Nana's drawing board. They had actually been showing this at the Toy Fair just recently in New York, this prototype Officer's Battle Pod. And here are some of the other new sculpts they have been working on as well. Yes, even in Inlet Seeker, the 1/100 scale. And so if you want to follow up with this, you know, get the latest up-to-the-date information, visit us at facebook.com/Robotech or twitter.com/RobotechNews. We're also doing a special promotion where anyone who becomes a member of one of these websites, either Twitter or our official Facebook page, every couple of weeks we're doing a drawing where someone will win a free prize. And a couple of weeks ago it was the calendar autographed by the cast and crew. And then just this previous week we had given away the soundtrack EP autographed by the original recording engineer, Peter Kelsey. So join up and you'll get a chance to get something there. And also something that Mr. Longbow had developed. This is Little Oni for Robotech on our official Facebook page. You can create your own custom avatar. So this is actually a very cool tool being developed for us. And you can export this after building your character. Oh yeah, there's Long's avatar right there. It actually kind of looks like him. Now, everybody knows that we have a live action movie deal over at Warner Brothers Pictures. They've been developing the live action picture, and here are the folks who are presently attached to it. If you don't already know, if you haven't IMDb'd this already, we've got on the production team, we've got E.T. Goldsman, Jason Leonard, and Toby McGuire. You might have heard the latter's name on another billion-dollar franchise. And the writers who have been attached to it are Lawrence Kasdan, who has 4 Academy Award nominations. One of the films he had written was Empire Strikes Back, another one was Raiders of the Lost Ark, known as the good films of those respective franchises. Nothing about those. Those are great, big, huge franchises. It's just that people seem to think that he does a good job on versions that he is assigned. Yeah, and Alfred Giles and Miles Miller, they wrote Spider-Man 2, which is also considered the good film of that trilogy. And let's see, Tom Rob Smith, New York Times bestseller. So these are all the gentlemen who have been working on the sort of live action adaptation. Very, very, oh, whoops. I think my battery's starting to run low. The screen keeps cutting out, so. Huh? Yeah. Well, for not being plugged in sections, battery's holding up longer than I thought. But anyway, let's see. So this, the Robotech merchandising rights have also been picked up by WB. And another question people have asked us about the soundtrack details. The Robotech 20th anniversary soundtrack is officially retired, and we are completely sold out. However, the work on the 25th anniversary soundtrack has wrapped up production. However, the newly found music that we had was so huge. I mean, we thought we couldn't do the 20th anniversary in 2 discs, so we went to 3. And now we found out that we dug up so much material, we're not even sure whether we can fit this all in 3 discs. So, actually, here's some of the. Yeah, no pun intended. That's actually how we found it. And this is actually the original master reels. And this is the reel on the left is what was used for previous releases. We used what were called 4-track half-inch masters. But when we were trying to remaster music, we just while we were going through our archives, we found the tape on the right. It's labeled the same ID number. It has the same tracks. It's even written off by the same recording engineer. And we're wondering, why is this tape 2 inches thick as opposed to a half-inch thick? And so we decided to go into it. That's what the other recording tape. So we're wondering, what is so much better about this tape on the right we discovered? Apparently, it's actually the recordings of the original recording sessions. It hasn't been edited down like the other reel on the left. And the other thing, oh yeah, this was the machine that we had to use to recover the data off of these tracks. It actually, had 24 tracks of data. If you look at those screens there, each dial is for each track of data where it was recording, where it was grabbing information from. So that 2-inch thick tape actually had 24 different instruments isolated on that tape. And so that's what we had recovered from it. And this was the mixing board from which we were recording from. And this was the data that we had grabbed back from it. And what was amazing about that machine was there were only 2 of those decks left in the United States. And I asked the gentleman, how do you know that for a fact? And he goes, well, the other guy who owns the other one and I, we both know each other. And so from this, we did a really good stereo remaster where we were able to even balance the instruments a little better. We even got some feedback from Kaylee Medici. This is Alpio's son. And the first edition includes unpublished alternate versions of We Will Win. This is available at a very good price. It's only $6.99. Second EP edition will include unpublished versions of Alpio Medici's It's You. And so, because we have so much information now, musical tracks than before, we're having different editions dedicated to certain tracks. And we're focusing on tracks first, where we got so much more musical data back than before. And we're also going to have a new volume, the dedicated CD, just to newly recovered Sentinels music. And so this is including all the stuff from Michael Bradley, Randall Rummage, and Sonny Hilden. And so we've actually recovered more stuff than we had before. And actually, let me give you a quick demo. All right. Now, what's interesting about that was actually Reba West performing It's You. And for those of you who had access to the soundtrack before, the only person who had ever performed It's You up until that point was Michael Bradley for the Lance character. You had never ever heard a mid-May version of It's You, but while we went through these tapes, we actually recovered that. That was a surprise. It was surprising that this was something that had not been in previous soundtracks and was not featured, in the original Robotech series until we find out why it was reported. It was on a radio that was playing in the background in one of the episodes. Nobody noticed it, but so finally we have a good track of that in the EP. And of course, the big question that we're always getting is, what about more Robotech? Yeah. Actually, anybody's got cameras? All right, we're gonna have to ask you to put them away.